Okay, we're considering maybe a dinosaur this time. We're going to do 3 sets of cans for the legs, but I want these to be longer, so I'm thinking maybe 5 cans high, and putting them together end to end. So what I'm thinking of doing is cutting like a little block of wood in there, and this could be screwed in from the sides. The other cans I use 3 screws per joint, that way it doesn't do this kind of thing. And I'm debating on the back part of the foot, maybe. I thought about longer in the front, but I think it'd look funny if it's too long, right? So there's what we're doing next. These cans will just screw into the side of here, and there'll be a block of wood in there also. Okay, this is what I think I've come up with. We're looking at T-Rex legs. I'm going to do 3 cans for stability. These are little feet, toes, whatever. If I can find a smaller can, I'll put a smaller can backward inside so it closes that in. What I gotta do is I need to cut some pieces of wood that fit inside of each can, because then what they're gonna do is you're gonna put the piece of wood on the bottom of this can, so when you slide it in, it gives you something to put screws in here to hold it to. So I take a circle cutter and maybe some 1-inch board, scrap board, whatever. And this used 1.5 boxes of cans, and I've only got 3 boxes left total, counting that. So I'm gonna have to save up cans for a while before I can finish this one. But I am gonna get it started, so I'll have at least the legs going. And I haven't decided on the body yet. This one might not be just only 10, because my thought on the body is if I could find maybe a 10 or 15 gallon plastic drum, that would be a nice shaped body for a T-Rex. And then the arms are nothing, they're just going to be less cans. They won't be 3 cans, they'll just be single cans coming out. Okay, so some cans don't have a lip because they were cut with a can opener. So a 2.5 fits wonderfully, but my 2.5, I must use my 2.5 blade on metal because it took me forever to cut this out, and I cut all 4 of these in the same time. But it fits in that one wonderfully. However, the next size down is 2-inch. And the 2-inch is a little loose, but now I can put screws in the side to hold these together to make the legs of a Tin Man or whatever. Okay, so I ran into a problem here. So the wood is to be able to put screws here into this piece of wood. However, I have a bucket of these things left from remodeling the house. However, that's gonna be too long for these biscuits, I guess you could call them. So I'm gonna have to get shorter screws for putting these together. Maybe half as long. The other problem is I gotta watch what kind of wood, because some wood putting screws in like that will split it. But there's my stopping point for today. Okay, here's our project. I had to stop last night because, man, my back was inflamed, and I had another issue when my back's inflamed. It has to do with the bathroom. Anyhow, these are put together, and they're a lot more solid than the way I did the first 10 people. I'm thinking about making a dinosaur, but I don't know. I don't think I have enough cans for number one, because I want to make it big. But this is going to be the new structure material. It'll still eventually, I like reversing a bigger can over the outside of the other one because it gives it kind of a heavier, this is way big, but it gives it, like what a knee joint might look like, or a hip or whatever, you know. So these are my oddball size cans. Last night I went through and found all my cans that are in the garage, because they're in multiple boxes, and condensed them down. So most of the boxes are soup cans, like these ones, or they're like a chili can, which is slightly bigger, or some of the bigger soups, not the tall ones, but the short, same height, but they're big enough these cans fit inside of them nicely. And I was using those for the joints, which was good. But when you look at a can, these sides are what do you call this? I'm going to say rippled, but I know there's a term for it. This is for strength, because the sides of these cans is thin. So putting a screw into the side of a can doesn't hold very well. And on these soup cans, that same material as this bottom, as you can see, it's rolled with a machine. And I've had a couple screws that pulled out of this bottom. They usually do pretty good, but the one I had problem with was I made these out of an old oak pallet that was going to be thrown away. And when I was putting the screws in the side for these, I split one of them. I split one of the oak pieces because I was using too small of a drill bit to pre-drill the holes. So when I put a regular screw in there, it literally split, and then nothing held. And one of the screws went under this part of it and pulled up on this screw and ripped it out. Literally, it was that much force, because these are pretty solid. So this is going to be the new method. The problem right now is I have a 2.5-inch hole saw that's worn out, but the 2.5, you get a little smaller than 2.5. I call them biscuits. They won't fit in these cans because these have a lip. And I have like 3 cans that don't have a lip, so I'm assuming those are ones I put the can opener on. And these are those pull top cans. So my wife suggested if I took a can opener, see if it would take that lip off, because then I could use the bigger biscuit, because this is the next size down, which is just barely under 2 inches. So this is considered a 2 1/8 inch hole saw, but the hole they're talking about is the hole it makes in like a wall or something. So the parts that I'm using are not that big. So I have a lot of that pallet left, but I would love to have something thicker than this, because of that possibility of splitting that wood. When you put screws in there, it's a lot of force, but I upped my drill bit size. And do I have that one? Oh, I got these metal cabinet holders, I think they were. I put the wrong bit in the drill. So this is the bit I was using. It's pretty tiny. and I had to go to this one instead. I have no idea what size they are because I bought these years ago in bulk. It wasn't a big bulk, you know, it was like a little baggie. And I've used a lot of them. This one I like the best for most stuff, but for these I had to go up a size because of that biscuit putting too much force in there. The screw is also drilling the hole if your hole's too small. And we just wanted to thread into the hole more or less and grab on a little bit, so you don't want a bit that's too big. So this cheapo set of bits, you know, that you buy like on Temu or eBay or whatever, or hole saws. This one I'd paid $15 for, and the 2.5, I used it on something that shouldn't have been used on because these are not good for metal. Even though it says you can do thin sheet metal. When it says thin, I'm thinking tin can. And I used it on something thicker, I can't remember what it was. And it tore the heck out of that hole saw. And then this one, after cutting all these biscuits, and all those biscuits, is acting like it's getting dull. Probably because they are not hardened steel. A lot of stuff you get from China is that way. They just use the cheapest product they can and make it cheap. Doesn't last. But, you know, I found another partial set that has this size, and this one size slightly smaller, and a couple others for like $3 on Temu, which might be good just to get by. So this is what's going on. The latest tin can works. On some of these, I started putting the screw is just the hole from the hole saw, but then I started going inside and drilled a second hole and put a second screw the opposite direction, which really makes a big, huge difference if you ever think it's going to try to separate. So this one's going to be a while. I'm just pre-putting a bunch of cans together in stacks of 4, and then we'll decide what we're going to make, because I don't think the dinosaur is going to happen right now. But I will post some pictures of what the legs were going to look like, because it's going to be 3 of these in a triangle configuration. And then the feet will come off the front.